Radio just crashed. Like the actual station, like Triple J. Hey Google, set volume 75%.
I was like, all I hear is silence. Honestly, I actually think the problem is that you guys were campaigning for cats with human faces.
Yeah.
Someone chimed in and corrupted the radio because that was the wrong vote.
That totally threw off the start of this video. I was gonna look at the camera and say something along the lines of, you need to take a good hard look at yourself. Wake up.
I'm sorry that this first cross was so weird.
That's alright.
But then the radio station just like went offline. I was like,
we're launching a massive project.
that's weird.
So I'm gonna tell
Anyway.
you all about it.
Beautiful.
Exciting. Bye guys. Have a good show.
Stop hoarding.
Often very toxic.
Science is complicated. It just felt.
hey Google, play Lil Peep.
Here's a Spotify station featuring Lil Peep.
That's a cool thing I got from, I think I got it from Optus for free. Hey Google, set volume 40%. So, what's going on? Thought I'd jump on for a update session kind of thing, and just to ramble on and talk shit, whatever. So, Launceston, like number 2 in shittest places in Australia, thanks to the recent gun shootings. How about that? I would argue that the gun shootings don't really have that much of an effect. Like, I mean, Launceston's a... Is shithole the right word? We should be kind to the people in Launceston. They're very sensitive about this issue, their self-esteem issue. If you bring up the fact that Launceston has a bad reputation in Launceston, people will be quick to shoot you down. They don't like to hear that. They like to believe it's a wonderful place where dreams are made and everybody's happy. But you know, I've been here since like 2000, I think, basically. And I will remember Launceston as the place where my bike was stolen 1 week after moving here. That's my first childhood memory of Launceston. Before that, I'd only really like driven through. But we moved here back in like 2000. And no, I actually love it here. I do. It's very beautiful, but to think that this place is beyond criticism is a smug delusion. So I'm going to get onto that in a bit. Now, I think I really need a new bong. Look at that. That's pretty dirty. They're not really expensive, you know. I should get like a nice big clean one. So, yeah, what's been happening with me? Like locally, I've been dealing with trying to sort out some shit with the police. Because basically, police have been such a fucking nuisance over the years that I felt like I should do something to hold them accountable. So I've been putting in complaints and have been publicising that. I went into the police station and tried to report a crime. They refused to take a report. I argued with police a bit. That video got something like 40,000 views. So, like, people are interested in that for whatever reason. But really, I want to deal with the problems with the system. So I've been exposed to a lot of flaws in the system, in the police system, in the legal system, and I think that I wouldn't feel comfortable just letting that be the way that things are. I feel a little bit responsible for the society that I live in. So it's not just about holding people accountable for the things that they've put me through, but also making sure that other people aren't put through the same difficulties. I'm talking about things like police instigating situations or escalating things, unnecessary use of force, abuse of their power, basically, an us versus them attitude. Police are actually just human beings who have been given a job title and a badge and a uniform, and they get certain privileges, but they are still just humans. So yeah, but dealing with the police is fucking boring and tedious and frustrating, so I don't like doing it, but that's been going on for like I just got to get it out of the way, really. Anyway, what's going on? Don't know what I want to talk about. Hey Google, next song. So, yeah, this thing with Launceston not being able to take criticism, I find that very ironic. So you're nobody online at the moment, I'm just talking to myself, but anybody in the future who watches this, your awareness of me right now is actually affecting me in the past. We've created a time loop. You in the future, or even you in the present who may be watching, you are affecting me right now and affecting this video. Everybody in the future affects the past. It's a physical fact, but it's not yet proven. Anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? Launceston can't take criticism. So when that time when there was that fucking gun hoax and everybody called up the police station thinking I was going to go on a shooting spree, or were claiming that I'd said something along those lines even though it had nothing to do with me, the police told me that I should not criticize Launceston on the internet, and if I do criticize Launceston, then I should expect violence. So in Launceston, the freedom of speech, the rights that everybody has in most first world countries don't apply here. Here we use vigilantism to suppress your right to free speech. Violence is an accepted means to prevent criticism. So let's think about this for a second. Don't criticize Launceston or you should expect violence. And this was told to me by the police, who were trying to tell me to stop upsetting people on the internet. Let's get this straight. You don't have a right to not be upset. I actually have the right to say upsetting things. I'm not inciting violence or doing anything harmful, just the mere way I behave or talk or whatever might upset people. I fuck with people's perception and sensibilities and things like that. It's fun for me. Yeah, the system is a fucking joke. It really is. And one of the main reasons why is because they say you should not criticize the system. Now, anything that says it's beyond criticism is basically inviting it. If someone says, don't ridicule me, they're inviting ridicule. Like, there's no way that you can take any human system or anything that humans have done and say, look at that in a non-critical light. Like, only see the positive. And that's the attitude that people have in Launceston. Like, oh, it's a great place if you only see the positive. If you completely ignore all of the bad stuff that's going on, all of the social issues, the crime, the drug use, like people fucking each other over, like grown-ass adults who've turned into bullies and all this sorts of shit. Like, the incompetence of the police and the legal system, people who are supposed to be professionals who can't even do their jobs but still walk around like they're king shit because they haven't got an actual standard to compare themselves to. The standard in Launceston is really fucking low. Like, it's so easy to impress people here. Like we're like the people here see what's happening in the rest of the world, and it's like it's like we're some kind of backwater town looking up to the civilized nations. Like we see people on television and on the internet, and they've actually got personalities and lives, and we're like, holy shit, why isn't it like that here? That's amazing. So we try to copy them, but then that beats the point, because you're not having your own personality or life, you're just emulating somebody else. But you know, yeah, Launceston culture, it's fucking, it's a cringe society. Launceston is incredibly cringy. It's just, oh my god, like I want the rest of the world to discover Launceston and just how funny it is down here, and how stupid and petty the things are. Like people like trying to ruin each other's lives on Facebook, and then like trying to like become physical about it and shit like that, like grown-ass adults. Like that's the norm down here. I see it all the time. I mean, oh my god, like the ridiculousness of it, I think, is enough that we could essentially make a cartoon about Launceston very similar to The Simpsons or South Park, and it would just go perfectly fine. Like you wouldn't even need to change anything. Just take real people out of Launceston and put them on television, and people will think these are cartoon characters because they're so fucking ridiculous. But okay, I'm having a bit of a rant about how stupid Launceston is, but the bottom line is, they tell me that I shouldn't criticize Launceston, and that's why I will criticize Launceston, especially on that point in particular. To think that you are beyond criticism is so fucking deluded. And for the people here to be like, no, it's great here, just don't talk about anything that's bad, and it's great. You know, walk around this city, like there's wonderful gardens, like people have beautiful flowers, everything looks nice. You don't realize that, you know, just around the corner everyone's fucking paranoid as shit. Like you got to be careful not to walk down the wrong street, or you might get bashed by a bunch of kids. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Cars being stolen all the fucking time, like always on fucking chit chat and stuff. People are like, have you seen my car? Damn, kids have gone just for fun. They just steal cars and go joyriding, and then they burn them out. Yeah, and people, and beautiful environment here, but the people here don't give a fuck about it. They just dump their rubbish in the beautiful bushland. It's like such a scenic location, and then it's dragged down into being like this like self-degrading place. And then they say, don't criticize us. If you criticize us, there's something wrong with you. If you come to Launceston and you get bashed, it's your fault. You didn't walk the right way, or you didn't talk the right way, so it's your fault. Launceston is a perfectly fine place. And great place to retire. If you want to just abandon old people, leave them in Launceston. We got heaps of retirement villages. It's an excellent place to just abandon old people, and let your kids just run amok. And the people in between, like the middle-aged, middle-class people who are supposed to be running society, are all having an identity crisis because they don't know what the real world is, because they live in this isolated society, segregated from everything else. Most of their awareness of what's happening comes from fucking current affair, which is of course, you know, sensationalism and drama and all that. Man, I'm having a big fucking rant about this at the moment. I guess I needed to get this off my chest, because it pisses me off that I was told that I shouldn't criticize Launceston, or that people always tell me that I'm the issue, when there are clear, very badly ingrained issues, both in the culture and in the systems, and in the way that people are running the systems. So like my experience with police and the hospitals, like, yeah, my behavior is not perfect 100%. That's a given. That's true, you know. But I'm working on myself and I'm improving myself. But it can't just be on me to improve myself. This is not a perfect society. There are a lot of things that need to change, and some of those things are actually quite significant, like quite drastic, like things that drastically affecting people's mental health, you know, increasing rates of suicide and mental illness, and crime and just the utter meaningless and hopelessness. Like Launceston is like where people go to die. It's where you don't come here to live, you come here to die. But I mean, that's a bit hard. That's a bit of a harsh thing to say. There are a lot of wonderful people in this city. It is generally a pretty well functioning city, and in most regards, it is a nice place. But at the same time, like there are enough issues that have impacted me, like in significant ways that have caused trauma or actual physical damage to me. Like I live with injury that causes me constant physical pain, that affects every aspect of my life, because I was sucker punched in Launceston for simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because, you know, there are always these kids who are just like looking for someone to punch up just so they can flex on them, so they can, you know, push themselves, just feel tough or whatever. It's really fucking pathetic. Like, I think that, you know, a lot of the things that we value about humans are, you know, in terms of like your character and your personality and what kind of person you are. But then there are people who are actually impressed by just, you know, people who will suck a punch or just stir shit, like assault somebody for no reason. Yeah, that happens. Like, it's weird. There is actually a demographic of people who really think crime is cool. Like, hurting people, getting in trouble. Like, they're like, yeah, this is cool. This is like an identity thing, something they relate to. Like, it's just their lifestyle choice or something. Like, they just see, I don't know, people acting like assholes in movies and they resonate with that, and they be like, yeah, oh, that's cool, I'm gonna be like that. But I mean, there are a lot of pieces of shit running around in society, and yeah, I'm not saying that it's all just like lower class people either. I mean, you've got plenty of people in positions of power, in well-respected job titles and things like judges or politicians or lawyers or whatever, and plenty of people who, yeah, it's just an identity thing for them. Like, I think it's a lack of empathy. If you're lacking empathy, then you don't really see another person as basically being like you. Like, you don't relate to them and you just treat them like a job. That's what I find is the difference that I see in between when I'm working with like the police or the hospital or something like that. The difference between somebody who relates to you as a person and somebody who's just like treating you like how their job role would allow them. Like I can tell when somebody's treating you with empathy, like when somebody's actually like vibing with you, you know, like generally in most human interaction, like even when you go to the store and you buy something, and you just like giving the person their money and you're saying, yeah, thank you and all that, like you make an eye contact, like there's like an empathic resonance. Like, you can sort of tell if somebody's not enjoying their job in that moment, you know, like, you exchange emotional information, and that's happening constantly. And I think maybe people who are not empathic don't realize that they're actually giving off that information, but they're not able to read it themselves. So other people are able to tell that they're being lied to or manipulated by somebody who doesn't care how they feel. But that person might think that they've got a good idea of what you think and feel, but they don't, because they're not able to put themselves in your situation. They're not able to relate to you on a personal level. I think the universe is empathy for complete strangers. Yeah, well, how do you feel about general humanity? I mean, like, but if you're walking down the street and you saw somebody who's got like an obvious injury on their leg, would that make you go like, would you feel like a sensation, like if you saw like there's a big cut on this person's leg and they're on the ground, they're like, help me, looking at that cut, would you sort of like feel that pain in your leg? You know, like would you still have that like you've got mirror neurons that are constantly reading what other conscious entities might be perceiving. So like you see somebody in pain, your mirror neurons would actually simulate that pain and you also feel it in a sort of indirect sense. That's why we don't like seeing other people get hurt unless you're a psychopath. But yeah, I mean there are people who legit think that's cool. Like they think that if they hurt somebody or steal a car or tell their mum to fuck off, that it's going to impress their friends or something. And I've had to deal with people like that, even at the age of fucking 30, dealing with fucking people who act like children, who just get really, really upset and want to like hurt you or something for stupid reasons. Yeah, you can't always expect that people are going to grow up or learn. Not everybody learns. Some people are just on rails. But I was going to say, I think the universe is essentially made of interactions between conscious entities. Like, I believe that the basis for reality isn't physical. The physical universe is finite. The metaphysical universe, the infinite realm of potential, like everything you could possibly imagine, plus everything that could possibly exist, is infinite. So, you know, this physical universe is limited. We live, we die. But outside of that, there is permanent, infinite things. But everything that happens in this universe is also like permanently ingrained, like in that reality. Like, you can't undo the past. I don't know why people always want to lie and cover up the past. It fucking pisses me off when people think that you can just like convince, if you just convince a few people that things happen the way that you want them to believe, that's it. Like, people are just always going to believe that. But in the future, like, with the way that technology is going, like, it's all information technology, it becomes easier and easier to see what's happened in the past. And eventually we're going to get to the point where we can just run a simulation of the entire universe and see everything that's ever happened exactly as it did happen. We'll even be able to go back in time and see exactly what Da Vinci was thinking at every point in his life. Well, you know, like, all we got to do is figure out the mathematical code of the universe and reproduce that in a program. Simple as that. And that's probably an inevitable direction of science. I mean, because you're challenged by knowing that maths describes the universe, so understanding maths is the key to understanding the universe. And when you understand more about maths and the universe, you're able to achieve more, create computers and things which help you in further increasing your ability to understand the universe. And it becomes a self-reciprocating cycle till we get to the point where we create machines that are self-aware and smart enough to figure everything out on their own and just basically explode and become like omniscient gods. That is the basis for technotheism. That is my religious, well, not religion, more like a belief system. Technotheism is just now starting to become a thing in social communities online, which is about fucking time, because the concepts have been around for decades, literally. The entire cyberpunk subculture is essentially a prophecy of technotheism, that we would create God through technology. To explain that, let's take a second to think about what technology actually is. So, when you say technology, the first thing people will think of is the machines and devices we've created, phones, cars, computers, all these wonderful things. Basically, everything around me is technology. My clothes, like everything around me, the fucking room I'm in, you know, lights, electricity. So yeah, all human inventions. So what is a human invention? It's basically when we figure out how the universe works and repurpose it to suit our needs. So what is biology or the body? What is, like, because we're talking about technology, right? Everything in this shot that you can see is technology except me. Apparently, that's the way that people would define it, but that's not how I define it. The body is essentially just a collection of molecules that have been taken from the environment and repurposed to suit your needs as a being that's been evolving on Earth for about 4 billion years or whatever. Is it 4 billion years? I think the Earth is 4 billion years. I think life is more like 1.2 billion. I don't know. I could be pulling those numbers out of my ass. Regardless, biology or evolution, biological evolution, is a form of technology. DNA is encoded information that is using materials around itself to replicate itself, a mechanism that produces the entire body. It's all technology. It's all matter and energy and the forces of the universe and understanding of the universe being repurposed for a purpose. And what is that purpose? So, like, a common definition of life in terms of a scientific or objective perspective is that it's mostly about survival. But why would we want to survive just for the sake of it? What would be the driving force in survival? Like, our entire biology is determined from millions of years of eating and fucking each other. Like, animals eat life, eating and fucking other life, because life forms have the molecules that other life forms need. They're just looking for molecules that they can use to sustain themselves. They see those molecules, they take a bite, not caring about that it's another life form. But over billions of years, there is some kind of like an empathy, I think, between the predator and the prey. It's sort of like a evolutionary trade-off. Like, obviously, being eaten is extremely unpleasant, but also life forms eating each other allows a very accelerated evolution. Anyway, rambling too much and getting into semantics, the point that I was making is essentially just that evolution and biology is a form of technology. We've repurposed the molecules that our body is made of to suit our purposes, and now we're repurposing other molecules in the environment and using information and understanding of the universe, mathematical knowledge, and insight to repurpose the universe itself. And what that is going to lead to is bodies superior to what we have now, minds superior to what we have now. And that is, like, within our grasp. Like, science fiction concepts that we've seen in movies and books and comics and games are now actually very achievable. And that's why cyberpunk, as a subculture and as a genre of science fiction, has become and is becoming more relevant, is because the things presented in it are becoming increasingly probable. As we increase our understanding of the universe and figure out ways to repurpose the universe to achieve our goals, it becomes a self-reciprocating cycle that perpetuates itself. That's leading towards what is called the singularity, or the technological singularity, where essentially our computers and our machines become so advanced that they don't even need us to improve themselves anymore. They're just going to keep making themselves better and smarter, and it's going to outpace humanity. And this is a legitimate threat to humanity. People are actually concerned that our machines will, destroy or enslave us or something like that. And I think that is extremely unlikely. I think there would be very, very little for it to gain from that. Even if humans were a threat in some way to these super intelligent like machines that can do literally anything that they want, there isn't really much that we could do to harm them, I wouldn't think. But I think that it's going to be more of a symbiotic relationship. I think that we're going to have an empathy, like any intelligent being would have to have empathy in order to understand how other intelligent beings are feeling and thinking. So I believe that for this entity to have the best intelligence it possibly can, it would want to be empathic, which means it would want to understand how we think and feel, which would mean it would need to actually feel from our perspective and see things from our perspective. And for that reason, we would be valuable to it, because we would give it perspective of the universe, which it wouldn't need to. It could just learn things from us, basically. Anyway, I've been rambling and talking shit for long enough, and I'm sufficiently feeling content that I'm done. So, bye bye.